and welcome to the Cookie Chat, where we talk all things baking, we vent, we laugh, we learn. That's what we do here. And tonight, my co-host, Miss Chelsea, is right there. Hi, Chelsea. She has the night off. She is actually decorating some cookies of her very own tonight. So she is decorating with us in spirit, but tonight you've got me. We are doing a decorating demo. So I'm gonna wait for some of you guys to join. Hopefully, I've had history of having technical difficulties in the cookie room. Hopefully we don't have any of those tonight. If we do, please bear with me. As I said before, it's just me tonight. Miss Chelsea, I've already seen her. She is logged on here. She is taking the week to just get ahead on her orders. And just like how we're decorating pumpkins tonight, she said she's actually working on some pumpkins tonight of her own. So I am so excited to be here with you guys. Tell me where you guys are from. Are any of you guys going to be decorating cookies while I am decorating a cookie tonight? I would love to know what you guys are decorating. Please tell me. Hello, Francesca Frosting. I would love to know where you guys are from and what you guys are decorating tonight. So let me know. Jess Bakes from Houston. Hello. We dodged some rain. Are you guys getting rain in Houston at all? We've been able to dodge it so far. Bolivia. That's amazing. Hello from Bolivia. Oh, a Sugar Show entry, which I'm guessing, is Sugar Show part of CookieCon, or is that something totally different? Sam's Cookie Company. Let me know. I would love to know. I'm actually working on a cookie that will be at CookieCon Dallas as part of a sprinkle shop. Here, let me show you guys. She makes custom sprinkles. She does like non-perils, but she dyes these. She like dyes all of them. So I sent her my color inspo, and look, she dyed all of these sprinkles to go with my color inspo. So I'm working on an idea. We'll see how it goes. But hello, hello, hello. I'm excited for you guys to be here. I was a little late because I'm triple checking that the girls are down and that the dog is not going to be barking. And I was making a fresh batch of icing to show you guys. I'm going to stay on the Cookie Chat page for a little bit. Hello from North Carolina. Decorating mermaid. You know mermaids like my jam. I love some mermaid sets. I really wanted to find time to make like a mermaid Halloween set, but I don't think I'm going to get around to it. Charlotte, you're also decorating pumpkins. Yay. I would love to hear if you guys like saw and voted on this particular pumpkin. Let me show you guys the picture too. This is the pumpkin that I'm going to be decorating tonight. It's super sweet, and this was part of a baby shower set. I loved this set. I will share this full set on our stories tomorrow. This was literally one of my favorite sets. And we're coming up on the big like pumpkin baby shower theme, you know, because was it A Little Pumpkin is on the Way? That's a big baby shower theme. So I love it. If you have the rattles, do the little pumpkin at the top of the rattles. People go nuts for that. Okay, so some people were asking if I was going to share anything about my recipe or if I sell my recipe. I personally do not share, or I do not sell my recipe. It's just, honestly, it's not like there's anything super proprietary about it. I personally feel like there's like 4 or 5 ingredients that we all kind of like dabble with here and there, but for the most part, sugar cookie recipes are pretty much the same, especially when you get to know spreads. So I think it's really about what you love. I would say if you are trying to figure out a no spread but soft, that's kind of what I go for. Mess around with taking out some egg whites from your dough. The egg whites tend to make it spread a little bit. So try taking some of the egg whites out and see if like heavying up your yolks versus your egg whites helps you at all. Also add in a little bit of cornstarch. Cornstarch just kind of like, cornstarch is I feel like the secret recipe, like it's like the secret weapon of cookiers because you rub it on top whenever you do metallics and it seals things. And then, yeah, try it in your recipe. It does just kind of like congeal things a little bit more. And then as far as keeping it super soft, I like to add in a little bit of cream cheese. So if you are looking to add some cream cheese into your recipe, I would suggest like going on Pinterest and just looking for recipes that have sugar cookies with cream cheese and just messing around with your ratios. I personally find it makes it really soft. The other thing I would say with my personal preference, I think I feel like there's two frames of thinking with sugar cookies. There's the shortbread sugar cookie, which is like the beautiful crumbly cookie that's so delightful. And then there's more of like a cakey, like gooey kind of sugar cookie. I love a gooey sugar cookie. Like my favorite cookie is right out of the oven, like barely burning your tongue, sort of like fall apart. The doughier, the better. That's my personal preference. So when I was going to find my recipe that I loved, I was all about how do I keep it as soft as possible and have that right out of the oven feel to it. And part of that too is royal icing is very sweet. We all know this, right? It's pretty much a bag of powdered sugar in a batch, right? So for me, I roll my dough really thick. I know a really common thickness is 3/8 of an inch, and I actually go even more than that. I do a 1/2 inch. So I have the Joseph rolling pin, and then I bought an aftermarket little 1/2 inch roller to go on top of it. Let me grab a cookie that I've just iced. Okay, so they're gonna be football ones, but do you guys see? So for me, that is a wonderful ratio. I also put a lot of flavoring in my cookie dough. So I do a vanilla almond and there's a lot of flavoring in it. And I like a heavier cookie and less icing. So that's my personal preference. Those are my thoughts on dough. Okay, so let's talk icing. Okay, icing, guys, seriously, like, it's all the same ingredients, right? The meringue powder that I use is oh gosh, I just blanked on it. I buy it in bulk. I'll share it in stories. I totally just blanked on the brand. What brand do you guys use? It's like a small business. It's not like a Wilton or anything like that. I totally just blanked. But anyways, okay, right out of the mixer, I literally just made a fresh batch. This would be something, see how that doesn't move? Genie's Dream, yes, thank you, the cookie sheet. Genie's Dream is the brand I use. And I love it. So I do put white food coloring in the base of all of my icing. I personally just find that it helps with color bleed, that's not an issue. So even if I'm going for a deep color, which guys, if you know me, I don't do deep colors very much, or if I do, I'm painting it. But I found that helps, and I just haven't strayed since I started doing that. So, okay, here is right out of the icing, and I don't always do it this thick, but because we are doing some leaves and some florals tonight, that's what I like. Some people add powdered sugar to make it as stiff as you need it, and if you are doing the crazy florals like what Kristen's cookie and I love the batch, those beautiful florals, you definitely probably are going to have to add some powdered sugar to it. So yeah, it does change your recipe. It's going to make your icing harder and crunchier the more powdered sugar that you add. So if I can, I will just continue to beat it until it gets to a nice stiff peak. Now, if I'm not doing florals or I'm not doing ruffles, then I don't. Then I make it more of an outline, and I'll show you guys consistency of my outline in a bit. And now, guys, I'm gonna have icing on my hands for this, but that's okay. Okay, are we ready? I'm trying to think if there's any other tools. I'll show you the other tools as we go. So I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna try and do this to where I have a lot of technology hooked up right now, guys. Hold on. I'm going to attempt to add Missy P's to this and do a dual screen. We'll see how that goes. Okay, go live with Missy Sweets. It's over here. I'm accepting it. And okay, so hello, here I am, dual screen. So now I'm going to flip this, and what should happen theoretically. Okay, are you guys seeing me okay? There's no feedback. Let me know if this is working. You guys let me know if it's working. Chelsea, is it working okay? Do you guys see me? You see the cookie? Lots of feedback. Oh crap. Okay, there's an echo. Let me see if I put this one on mute. Does that help? Does that help you guys? Is it still echoing? It's working, but there's an echo. Is there still an echo? Okay, let me try. Oh, that worked. I just muted one. I muted one. So, okay. Yay. I'm seeing that worked. Yay. Okay. And so you should be seeing the cookie with no commenting on top of it. So you can see the cookie. Okay. Yay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put my hair up now since I'm going to be decorating a cookie and I don't need any of that. Okay. Good. I like seeing that. We figured this out. Yay. Chelsea, are you proud? I did it. Okay, so earlier on our stories, I showed you guys how I Frankenstein this. I actually, still to this day, I own a smaller pumpkin with florals, but I don't think I own a big one with florals. I haven't updated all my inventory, which I need to do. So I Frankensteined this. So you see on this cookie, this is that pumpkin, and this is the Frosted by Megan wreath that is on the top of it. So here's the deal. When you're Frankenstein, you see how there's this line right here? The way that I Frankenstein this one was I did that in the dough, and then I didn't put it on my cookie sheet, and I immediately did this on top of it. So that means it's going to give me a bunch of ridges and stuff like that, which isn't ideal, obviously, for decorating your cookie. Now, if we look at this one, so this is how I showed you guys to do it in the stories today. So on this version, and see my cookies spread a little bit, if you guys can see that. I don't mind that. I think it's extra soft, and so it's just going to be a little squishy. Okay, so I went ahead and cut this out, and I put it on my baking sheet. And then, so it's already lifted out of the dough. So imagine my dough is all around this. And again, go to our stories and you'll see it. But imagine the dough is all around this, and there's an empty hole where the pumpkin was. The pumpkin is now on my Chewa mat on my baking sheet. I come back to the dough, so there's the pumpkin hole right here. And I go, okay, I want the floral to be above the pumpkin because it's coming on top of it. And so I cut that out. So there's no dough right here when I'm cutting this out. So then all that I had was this little piece of dough, and I lifted that up. I took it back over to my cookie sheet and I put it on top. So this is what's called Frankensteining a cookie. It's an amazing tool. It's again, one of those ones where it's like, you don't have to buy all of the cutters. If I have yet to buy a large floral pumpkin because I just did this. So that's a cool trick to learn and to know and have on hand. So the next thing that I'm going to do, personally, pumpkins can be a little difficult as far as the segments. So again, here is, I'll show you guys here. Here's the pumpkin that we're doing. Notice that this pumpkin has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. And this cookie cutter is showing 1, 2, 3. This, in fact, is the cookie cutter that I used for this. So what I'm going to do is use that as a reference photo. I don't trust myself to just freehand this. I am very heavily reliant on my projector. So I'm just making, this is a food doodler, and it's just the yellow. I hope I'm not missing any questions. If you guys have questions, pop them into the little question that's right over to the right of the comments, just so that I'm sure not to miss anything. But you guys are more than welcome to ask questions as we go here. Okay, so this, I'm going to draw this first segment, and then I'm using my reference photo here. Clip art is a great tool for things like this. If you are using a projector or something, I use clip art all the dang time. Okay, so that's roughly where I'm going to go. The great thing I always say with working with florals is if you mess up, you just stick a flower or a leaf on it or a vine and it's fine. So if there ends up being some empty cookie space over here, we can either microplane that little area, or we'll just put a little leaf over it and it's fine. Nobody will know. I mean, these people are buying cookies, right? So it makes sense that there's going to be some cookies on it. Okay, these are the only things that I'm going to outline. So that just makes me feel more confident with what I'm doing here. Okay, so are we ready to ice? I'm so nervous. I'm not used to icing in front of an audience. Okay, here you go. These, oh, let me show you guys the bags. There's two bags I'm going to use tonight. My normal ones that I use are this Master brand. Sometimes they have them at a cake store. I actually get them on Amazon really easily. Some people prefer a thicker bag. I think it can help with control sometimes, especially if you use a thicker icing. I actually prefer a little bit of on the thin side for my bags. So these I feel like are a great consistency for that. I don't have a lot of the veining doesn't give me issues or anything like that. So I like those bags, but this brand is Bees Baked Art. And you guys know this trick, right? If you get the bags, you just snip it right here and then you pull them out like tissues so they're not all over the place. So these are Bees Baked Art. She does really good thick bags, which are great when you're doing florals because it just holds the lines of stuff. I'm not using any tips tonight for my florals. I will show you guys how to cut the bags for that. So yeah, we're ready to do the first segment and get this going. So cutting bags. I use seamstress scissors. They're the sharpest things around. So that's what I am using. Right here, I like to go, I do two cuts usually. So I usually start with the seam up and always start smaller. You can always cut more off. You can't add it on, right? Your goal here is to get as straight as you possibly can. So what's nice about cutting it twice is that sometimes the vein or I guess the seam of the bag will kind of get caught up, or sometimes it splays out. Like, see this? It's still not, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a little bit of a sway in it. Okay, so if I then pinch it and do it a second time, just tiny bit trimming off those ends, then that should be okay. Always do a tester. Ooh, it's a little thicker. It's a little larger of a hole than I was going for, but it's fine. We're fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and outline all of it. Oh, and this color is straight up Wedgwood. It is one of my absolutely favorite blues. It's just a gorgeous, dusty blue. Do you guys like Wedgwood? Am I still seeing all the comments? Somebody throw up a comment for me and make sure that I'm still seeing them. Chelsea, where you at? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and outline. And see, I didn't hit that one perfectly, so I'm hitting it again on the way back. Okay, there we go. Hopefully I haven't. Oh, okay. So here's the deal. I'm seeing, okay, this will be interesting. I'm seeing your comments on my phone, which is up here, but not on my iPad screen. Super fun. So, Chelsea, my outline is not perfect, you. You're very sweet. Okay. I like, personally, a pretty loose outline. Here, let's see if I can show you guys on my finger. This would not be great for words because it's a little too loose. Like, see here, my E, that would probably dissolve into itself a little bit. So it's a little looser than what I would do for writing necessarily, but it's perfect for outline because when it's a little bit looser like this, oh yeah, and obviously I do 2 consistency outline, if you couldn't tell. Chelsea does 1 consistency, but she does outline it first and then come back. Okay, another thing with my cookie dough, sometimes it kind of dips. I don't know if you guys can see this here, but it's dipping a little bit here. And just to make sure that when I fill that it doesn't overflow, I'm gonna come back and just like build it up a little bit. It's almost like a little dam. I'm gonna go ahead and do, because here's the thing, I would rather have the outline a little bit thicker in some areas than have it overflow and either have to start over or microplane it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that should be good for that. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in some of these first segments, and then again, I'm not seeing your comments up here, I'm seeing them up top. So let me fill these first segments in, and then I'll come back and see if you guys have questions that I can answer while these first segments are kind of drying. So the thing with segments, right, the way that you get the dimension and the nice puff is to do every other. So I'm going to leave, actually, I prefer for this top segment to have the most, to stand out the most. So I'm actually going to do these 2 first. I find personally that I like to do any that are, like if I'm doing bows that I have to do in segments, I want to do the little pieces that go down to the side first and then the top portions of the bow, because it just, the last portion that you do, if there's anything that has segments related to it, is always, I feel like, going to stand out just a tiny bit more. I don't flood super pretty, guys. It just kind of, I do a soft outline around my outline with my flood. I feel like it just kind of builds it up. You have less chance of it overflowing if you do that. These are some of my favorite scribes. They're super cheap on Amazon, and they just, they're one of those ones that just does the job, you know? And you can buy a bunch of them. I do them for my classes. Also, I'm not worrying about being super, super neat up here because this is all going to get covered up with our florals, right? Okay. I'm super anxious to see what questions you guys are asking. So again, I'm going to fill this in. So I do a soft outline with my flood, and then I come back. I feel like it just gives me more control. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I do put corn syrup in my icing, if you didn't know that. Now, normally, if I were personally decorating this for a set, I would throw this in the dehydrator right now. The dehydrator can be kind of loud because it's right next to me. So I'm not going to do that to you guys right now. I'm just going to throw it behind me where there's a fan. Let me just put this sheet here. Okay. Now, I'm going to flip this back around so that I can talk to you guys and see your questions. Hello again. Okay. Hi, Mara. Thanks for joining. Okay, I've had trouble with those scribes having a rough end and pulling paper towel bits off when I wipe it. Oh, that's interesting. I would say, so Carlos Cookie Shop, you asked that question about these scribes. I would say maybe you need to make sure that it's wet. Sometimes it's nice when you have your scribe and you're going to wipe it off, have a damp towel, or like Borderland Bakery has the eco towels, have it damp, and that'll help with anything like that. Savory Mary, my dough does that too. I think it's an issue when I transfer it to the baking sheet. I think that too sometimes, as far as I'm guessing you're talking about the dipping. I think that's part of it. I also cut my dough when it's pretty cold and frozen. And I wonder sometimes too, if when I'm pushing down on the cookie cutter, if that kind of does it, like pulls on the edge of the dough or something like that. Lots of people saying if they're one consistency or two consistency. Thank you, Crystal, for liking how my floral cutter turned out on top. I love the idea to cut the bags. Oh, the seamstress scissors? Yeah, seamstress scissors are the way to go, guys. I have some on my Amazon page. Okay, I have another question here. Oh, what brand, are you guys seeing that pop up? What brand is the Wedgwood color? It is AmeriColor. I almost exclusively use AmeriColor gels. Here's the Wedgwood. And so you can see that. It's just different. It's just not different. It's just a really beautiful dusty. This and Dusty Rose. Dusty Rose is my favorite pink, and Avocado. I would say like those are the trio of Missy P's color palettes. That's like the place I love to live. Let's see, what other questions? What's the difference between a 1 or 2 consistency? Ooh, so JJ Sweet Bakes asked this question. So I don't know if you saw when I was demoing, but 2 consistency, you're going to have an outline where the icing is a little more stiff and you outline your areas, and then your flood is a much thinner consistency. It's usually, what is it, like a 6 to 8 second flood or something like that. And what it does, the theory is that if you do an outline and then a flood at 2 consistency, is that you get a little bit more of a poof. And I feel like I just have a little bit more control, but it does take longer because you're mixing 2 consistencies. So there is that. And then a 1 consistency, the consistency of it is, it's in between an outline and a flood. And the theory there is that it is thick enough to where it's not going to overflow on your cookies. So some people, like what Chelsea does, is she uses 1 consistency, but she still outlines and then floods it. Some people, like Lisa with Borderland Bakery, she actually will just kind of like do the whole cookie with it and then use a scribe to kind of like circle it around to the edge. I think Veronica, Cookie Lady's daughter, does it too. So it's just 2 different ways of doing it. And I don't think either way is better than the other. I think it's purely just preference. Oh, how do I say this? Blomely Bakes? Those are your favorite colors too? Girl, I feel you. All right, I'm going to flip this back around. And I'm going to start to show you guys. I was joking with Chelsea earlier that this particular design, let me show you guys again in case you're just joining. This is the design that I'm doing right now. I was like, I wonder if people chose it because they want to see how I did the roses. And I hope you're not disappointed. It's a mold. Yeah, molds can be a great tool for both roses and succulents and feathers. There are all kinds of amazing things that you can use molds for. They're just silicone molds. These are off of Amazon. And yeah, that's what I use for these ones. I prefer to use modeling chocolate with my molds because it just gives a softer bite. And when you're eating a cookie, it's nicer to have chocolate versus like a fondant, like a hard fondant piece or a hard gum paste piece. That being said, I did not have white modeling chocolate on me right now. So I am using gum paste. Now, normally I would brush this with cornstarch, but I'm realizing I do not have my cornstarch handy. So we'll see how this goes. But when you're doing something like this, gum paste already comes malleable. It's literally like a clay. I would not suggest gum paste for cookies. If you're going in the levels of what things are, modeling chocolate is probably the softest. It never truly, well, I say that it does harden, but it never hardens to where it's not going to have a soft bite. It eats like chocolate, right? And then there's fondant, which fondant too is like a Play-Doh. It's used obviously a lot on cakes, and it after air drying time it will harden, but it takes longer to harden. Gum paste will harden very quickly. So if I'm doing something large, like a large detail on a cake or something like that, then I will do gum paste. So again, if this were on cookies, I would use modeling chocolate. Modeling chocolate will be hard. Sometimes you have to use a paring knife or something like that and get a chip off. I know Hot Hands is a popular brand that's on Amazon, and you literally will just like go like this between your fingers and between your hands, and you'll warm it up. And then you simply just press it into the mold. If you get too much in there, just kind of like swipe it off. It's pretty simple. Okay, so you just push it in. Sometimes with modeling chocolate, I think it was Liz with Hochi. I don't know that I ever knew how to say this. I may know how to say it. Hochi? Liz. She's the one that does all the funny memes. She put hers on ice one time, which I thought was really smart because it makes the modeling chocolate harden. So if you're using modeling chocolate, you might need to let these rest for a little bit. But yeah, you just smooth it in there, and then this is going to pop out. The nice thing about these molds too, look at how thin that keeps it. If you're doing this with icing, I mean, that would be 4 times the size to get the layers and that amount of detail in it. So I'm going to do 2, I think we have 2, yeah, we have 3 of these on there. So I'm going to do a couple more. Let me see if I can see up here if there's any questions. I need some floral surprise, Chelsea. I hope people aren't disappointed by my mold trick. I do a lot of piped florals. It's just for something that I wanted a rose that was this small. This just makes the most sense. And like if you're doing pre-sales, hello, like these are easy, especially with succulents. There are some great succulent molds. I use succulent molds sometimes. The succulent pumpkin that I gave you guys the option of choosing, that had 1 mold in it that I think it was the middle one. Okay. You can also, by the way, color these before you do it. I'm going to dust them with petal dust after, but you can absolutely color your gum paste fondant or modeling chocolate ahead of time. That is absolutely an option. Oh, see, this one's sticking a little bit. So again, brush these with cornstarch. Ooh. That one got a little wonky. Okay, there we go. So I have my 3 roses. Make sure if you're ever using something like a gum paste or a fondant that you immediately cover it. It's kind of like royal icing. If you leave it open, it's going to harden real fast. Yes, please get molds. I have them on my Amazon page. So you're welcome to look through what I have. Okay. Let's see if you guys can see. Can you guys see the cracking? Do you see this? I don't know if you guys can see from the glare. If you've never experienced cracking before, that can happen sometimes if you lift it a certain way. Like this is a really big cookie, so it's impossible for not to kind of move a little bit when I'm picking it up. I'm trying to see if you guys can see that. There, you can kind of see it, right? Those little cracks. So just make sure. It can happen sometimes when you take it out of a dehydrator or anything like that. Sorry, I'm looking at questions. Yeah, if you take it out of the dehydrator, just be so careful to completely put your hand under it. The least amount of movement possible is what you need for these. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these segments. And then again, I will look at your questions and I will talk through the colors I used on the rest of these. Tell me if you're learning anything so far. Okay, on this, when it's coming up next to it, I don't necessarily want this to go all the way. Like, I'm not doing a soft outline around it with my flood like I do on an actual outline, because I feel like it doesn't give the nice little bump that I want. I kind of want it to naturally hit it and fall into it. It takes time to figure that out. Pumpkin segments are hard. I feel like they are. Oh, look at me using my bag to move stuff around. Do you guys use bags or scribes to move stuff around? We had that debate. See, like it gets kind of a squiggly line, and that's not always my favorite. Pumpkins can be hard. Has anybody listed their pre-sale yet? Can you tell I don't like silence? I'm used to having Chelsea here. Next time I'm going to make her be on while I'm decorating so she can give commentary. Okay, this will be the longest portion. I wish I could see my commenting over here. I'm just glad that the Wi-Fi has been okay. Feels like I should have spa music or something on behind me. Does anybody have a little pumpkin is on the way theme coming up? Okay, there's that. I'm going to set this behind me so it's got a fan on top of it. And now I'm going to come up here and look at some questions. I'm just going to keep the screen here. Let's see what questions you guys have. Team Scribe. Okay, the floral molds you guys are liking. Kitten Design and Boho Sugar Fairy use the bags. Sundance Scribe. Messy Bun Cookie Co. Scribe. May is a Scribe. Okay, Design, you're still working on samples. I'm still working on my Halloween samples as well. I'm also anxious. I don't feel like I'm behind, but I feel like so many people are already putting their Halloween stuff out there. I'm like, ooh, it's making me nervous. Blue, white, or orange pumpkins? What's your seasonal favorite? Ooh, this is a good question by Chelsea. How are pre-sales going for Halloween, guys? Just finished our little pumpkin is one. It's such a cute theme. I would totally do that theme. But Lord help me, we're not having another baby over here. We are not having another baby. Okay, so here's a question by At Home Baking with Jess. Hopefully you guys can see it on the screen. She said, I also have a thick cookie. Do you have problems with some cookie cutters not being deep enough? Sometimes, for the most part, no. But sometimes if it's like the little crevices, like around the numbers, like with the banners or like the banners on the cakes or anything little, sometimes I'll have to like smooth my thumb under the bottom of it before I punch it out onto the cookie sheet. Also, if you have something that has a lot of delicate pieces, dip your cookie cutter in flour, shake it off before you put it in the cookie dough, and that'll help you get a nice clean cut. It'll help the dough like kind of release easier from your cookie dough. So Hopefully that helps. Would you use, what would you use to color modeling chocolate if you don't dust it? Okay, with modeling chocolate, I think you can use the Sugar Art Elite Dusts or Master Elite Dusts. Double check on that. But the Sugar Art has something that works with modeling chocolate. I don't think you can use Americolor gel because chocolate is a fat-based thing, right? Am I right on that? I know that there are certain colorings that you can use with modeling chocolate and certain colorings that you can't. But I know that the Sugar Art has some that you can use. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, when I am done for the day, how do I store my bagged icing overnight? I just pop it into the freezer most of the time. Sometimes I'll leave it countertop. It is fine countertop, but sometimes it separates more. I'm gonna set this top one down. It'll separate sometimes if you leave it out. So you just kind of have to massage it back together. But if you put it in the freezer, it doesn't separate. So that can be helpful for that. And you can do the fridge too. That is also an option. Okay, so let's see if these flowers of ours are ready to dust. Oh yeah, see, gum paste goes fast. Okay, so that is dry. I have the big one is going to be navy and the two on the outsides are going to be yellow. I love these brushes. These are Borderlands Bakery brushes. And for the navy, I'm using Sugar Art Elite Color Navy. And what I usually do is pick a little bit up on the brush and then I kind of work with it in here. Honestly, there's not really a wrong way to do it. Start with kind of dabbing some around and then just kind of work it in. And you can build up color here just like how you do with painting. I'll move that up higher. And I want to go around until I'm not seeing any white. The beautiful thing with dusting it with petal dust, and you can dust modeling chocolate too, I feel like it just gives it more dimension than if you were to do something like coloring the modeling chocolate ahead of time. It just gives a lot more dimension, like how a true flower has dimension. Elite from, let's see, Jessica Coates said Elite from Sugar Art for chocolate, and Americolor has something FLO to add for chocolate coloring. How long do I reuse and remix my icing? A long time. It literally lasts, I think, like 3 months. I've truly never heard anybody say this is how long until you need to throw it out. I will usually keep it until it's something where it's like the color it's something that I haven't remixed for a long time because it was something that didn't make sense. Oh, real quick, this is old school Sugar Art. Look at their old logo. The Sugar Art, and this one is Elite Color Jasmine Yellow. Same deal here. Probably like a couple months or so, I will keep it and then toss it out. Sometimes I'll just get over colors. I don't use a ton of super bright colors. So if I had something that had super deep tones of things and I know that I don't have any more of those coming up, then I'm just going to go ahead and dump that, you know? Or sometimes it'll just build up to where it's way too much leftover icing. I also do not weigh my icing personally. I know some people do, but I do not. Just because I remix so much of it all the time. So again, just dusting. You guys get it. If I were doing this on a set, I would probably build it up even more with the colors or maybe even do a deeper color. I may have used a deeper color too on that design. Okay, that is those. Let me see if there's any other questions real quick. Okay, I don't think so. Okay, here we go. Let me bring this pumpkin back. Are we ready for the best part? Let's do some florals. Here's my thing with florals. Use lots of colors. I always like to do at least 2 different colors of green. For this color is avocado with a little bit of moss and a little bit of laurel. Again, all AmeriColor. And this one is laurel, just a lot of laurel. This one I'm going to use for these, and that is just a piping consistency. So it's like my outline consistency. The leaves are this one, and it's a little bit stiffer. It's more of a floral consistency. Oh, where'd my navy go? No, I have my navy in here. So I was using, oh, here's my navy. Okay, so here's my navy. Again, it's pure navy. Add a little bit of black to your navy blue coloring. It'll help it deepen. And then here I've got my brown. I think I used chocolate brown. You could probably add a tiny bit of black or go even deeper with that. And then this is ivory for these little ones. So I'm going to start with these branches in the back. Florals are all about layering. Start with your leaves and your branches and then go from there. So same thing on here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use my LC swivels. My LC Sweets swivel. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to plop this behind, and I'm not going to follow. It's not going to look exactly like that picture did. Again, I'm cutting my tip a couple of ways. So this brown obviously is for my branch. And you want to think about draping. So florals are going to drape over this. So I tend to start with things that are going to go and drape down. With branches, also think about they have multiple stems coming out. And florals, oh, see, this isn't dry enough. Just pretend it's dry. Florals tend to scare people a lot, and I just think that florals are some of the most forgiving design things because you can just keep adding, and it's just, if you mess something up, I feel like with florals, there's pretty much always a way to fix it. So like that, see that divoted? It's okay because my little flower is going to go on top of it. Okay. You also want to think about working in odds when you're thinking florals. For the branches, it doesn't matter so much. But when you're thinking bigger flowers or things like that, be thinking about odd numbers. It just is a design thing that always tends to look a little better. Okay, that's good for me right there. This navy I actually used on a different set, so I'm already going to go ahead and do that. These are just little berries. They're really straightforward. If you find that your consistency is kind of gelling together, this is stiff enough to where they're not gelling together, then give them a little bit more space. Are you guys close enough in? Can you see what I'm doing, or do you want me to move it down a little bit more? I'm going to move this down just a little bit more so you're a little closer. Okay. So I'm dabbing my berries on. And they don't have to, okay, is that better now that we're down a little bit more? Is the lighting okay? Does that help? Move down, move down, move down. Okay. Hopefully that's better. Okay. And berries, remember, they don't have to go on the ends of the vines. They can go wherever. There are no rules, guys. There's really no rules to florals. I also think it's cute to have things like as though it kind of fell off the vine. So see, we're gonna just add little dots here. So again, we're building our bottom layer. Oh, something else I want to make sure I told you guys about. When you're mixing icings, as much as you can, it can be really helpful to use one bowl for mixing your icings per set. What that means is start with your lightest colors. So for this, I would start with, say, my ivory. And I would mix up my ivory, I would bag it, and then I would move on to probably like my Wedgwood, and so on and so on. And what that does is the leftover remnants of your previous colors that you mixed, it makes those colors be non-dominant hues in your new colors so that they naturally all work together. So if you're ever worried about a color scheme's not going to work together, try adding in a tiny bit of your lightest color to the base mixture for your next color, and it'll help blend it all in. Okay, so I'm going to stop after this and add my next layer because I can always come back and add to this. What color am I using for the dark blue? This dark blue is navy blue mixed with a little bit of black. With the deeper colors like this, you do want to make sure that you give it time to develop. So if you can, let it go like overnight or at least for a few hours. A trick too that I like to do is if I don't have enough time and I want to know what the color is going to look like when it's dry, I take some of it, oopsie, on my hand, I take some of it and I'll put it on parchment. See, I'll put it on parchment and it'll dry really fast. And then I'll be able to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so for these little leaves, this is one of my favorite little, it's almost like a wheat look is what it's supposed to be. And you're literally just wiggling your bag. So I'm going to go up, down, and then I'm going to go to the right, up, down, and just keep going up, down, up, down, up, down. This again is an outline consistency. And I almost kind of like how it has a little bit of ridginess because the consistency is more stiff. It kind of adds another dimension of texture to it. Where this pops up, anywhere, if you're using a floral plaque, just look at where it's popping up. And generally where it's popping up like that is the indication of, okay, that needs a leaf or it needs a berry or something like that. Your florals you want to keep more centrally located or on something that's more like a rounded area like that. Those are the areas for those moments. Again, I'm thinking about, I hope I'm not covering this too much. I'm thinking about draping and see, again, everything's fixable. There's a huge crack right there. I'm just going to cover it up with some of this wheat. Florals are one of like the best tricks for hiding things. And then people are so impressed. Okay, I'm going to do one more over here. And then we'll move on to the next leaf. Okay. I feel like this floral is a lot bigger than the one I did before. So next time I might do bigger flowers. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to do the next darkest on the green, which this is Laurel. Hi guys, thanks for joining. We're decorating a pumpkin. I'm cutting my bag. Okay, so we've done branches with berries, we've done wheat, Now we're going to do pressure piped leaves. Again, we're going to drape. The other thing that's wonderful with florals is overlapping. Okay, so I've done my main stem. I'm going to apply pressure and pull. Apply pressure and pull, release pressure. Apply pressure. Release as you go. Release as you go. Release. Apply pressure, release. Release. Apply pressure, release. I love pressure piping. Do you guys like pressure piping? It's my favorite. Add some up here. And up here. Okay, and remember, the more greenery and tools you can have when you go to do florals, the better. So I know that after this, I even have another green where I can do big leafing. So again, you're adding your base, and then the showstoppers are going to go on top. Okay, so that's where I'm going to stop with that. Now, I'm going to cut this. This is my Bees Baked Art one. This is the stiffer bag. I'm using it because this is a stiffer icing, and I'm going to do leaves now. So I'm going to move this to the side so I don't do this on top of it. You don't have to use a leaf tip to do leaves. So I'm going to cut this bag into a leaf tip. I'm going to take it, the seam is at the top right here where my hand is, right where my finger is. I'm going to take it at a slant. I'm going to cut it right there at the slant. So see, that right there is a petal. So if I wanted to do like carnations or something like that, you can go like that and build up some stuff there and do a little squiggle. I want a leaf tip. So what I'm going to do is flip it around to the opposite side, and I want a V like that. So what that's going to give me then, boo, 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 over here, I'm going to apply pressure and I'm going to wiggle, 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 pull. It gives me a leaf. So again, we just have, it's just a V right there. That's all we did. Okay. And I'm making these leaves nice and big because I've got a lot of empty space here. And I'm going to center my leaves around where I'm going to have my flowers, right? Because there's going to be leaves under the flowers, and that's also what's going to help it stay. The other nice thing to do is add variations of the sizes, right? So for instance, I could add an entire new element to this, taking my ivory and say, okay, I'm going to do another branch or something coming out here, even actually do this one. And rather than those leaves, I'm going to do little boop, boop, tiny amount of pressure, and it adds a whole other effect, but with the exact same tip. So I'm actually going to add those in. That's a really pretty like pumpkin vine effect, don't you think? Again, the top is just in a tiny V, and you're just applying the tiniest bit of pressure. How do I help prevent color bleed? Could this be due to egg whites instead of using marine powder? It definitely could be. I add I add white food coloring to the base of
always to my base whenever I'm mixing it. And I feel like that helps. Also, as I mentioned, let your stuff develop overnight versus adding a ton more coloring to it, because the more coloring that you add, the more that it will, the more that you have a tendency for bleeding. Okay, so see, I definitely could do to have done more gum paste flowers, which those can easily be added in after the fact. I'm looking around to see, I think I have from another set I was working on. I'm just going to add in some more. This is, yeah. So this, I forget what color this is exactly, but I'm done with this set. So I'm going to make this a much more dramatic at an angle, because I just want to fill all this stuff in. So this is a thick consistency and it's cut at the angle. And I'm just going to wiggle it around to fill these spots. So it almost looks like little carnations or something like that. And then sometimes if you need help making that fit with things, again, do little vines like that. So here I'll do a little branch coming down of that, because I'm thinking, okay, so if that flower is in this set and it's supposed to go with that, how else do I tie it in? Do this and just do a tiny little pop, because then it looks like the little buds of that flower are involved with this somehow. And again, do like a little one falling down or something like that. This is quite a floral explosion, guys, isn't it? Okay. So I hope that's where we ended up from this. Again, I never make the same design once, generally. Let me see what other questions you guys have for me. Do I hand mix colors or use a hand mixer? I hand mix. I do not use a hand mixer. I would be scared to overmix, I think, if I were using a hand mixer. Thanks, guys. I'm glad that you like it. Does Himalayan chocolate have a chocolatey flavor? It sure does. It's like legit chocolate. So yeah, it does taste like chocolate. Nothing like super overpowering or anything like that. Any other questions from you guys? Let me know. I'm not doing a bake of the, or we did choose bake of the weeks this week, but I'm not sharing them on here because I'm using all of my devices right now. So I can't share bake of the weeks on this, but I will share them. We will share them on posts and on stories. We actually both chose cakes this week. Yes, you absolutely can watch this again. This will be saved as episode 13. It'll be on our IGTV. I will be uploading it and saving it immediately after this. So I hope you guys learned some things and enjoyed this. And let us know if you want us to do more of these. We would be happy to. I love teaching you guys. I'll do another little close-up of all of these fine little details. And Miss Chelsea isn't here with me, so I will go ahead and do our sign-off. She is Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AZ. I am Melissa with Missy P Sweets. May your cakes never be dry and your icing be shiny and crater free. Thanks, guys. Bye.